I want to share with you Power Query tool that is provided by Microsoft in Excel 2010, 2013, and 2016. It is already built in Excel 2016, and in this video, we'll have a quick look at what Power Query could do and how we can activate it in Excel 2010 and 2013. So as a financial analyst, I have been using this tool for about 1.5 years, and it has made my life so easy in terms of automating the things that I would do in Excel. Every month when I get data, I do not need to manually update all the formulas. I just automate them by applying them as steps. It's kind of a macro recorder. So let's have a look at it. So here is Excel 2010, and I've already installed Power Query in this Excel program. However, as I said, later in the video, I'll show you how to install it in 2010 and 2013 and how you can access this built-in function in Excel 2016. So once you have Power Query activated in Excel, you got to click on the Launch Editor, which will bring up a window called Query Editor, which will have all these awesome buttons uh, which will help you in consolidating data after you pull it from multiple sources, whether it is online, whether it is through the files that you exported from uh, SAP or other ERP system, from SQL, etc. So as you can see, most of these buttons are grayed out because there's no data in here, right? So while we don't have any data, we cannot click on any of these buttons. So quick look at the query editor shows us this is what Microsoft has provided us, all these buttons, tabs in the ribbon, uh, pretty much like an Excel file. So it is good that you could write formulas in Excel, but in Power Query, most of the time you can just use these drop down buttons and you don't even need to write a formula. Power Query will do addition, subtraction, multiplication for you by click of the mouse. And once you have saved those steps, the new data comes in, new month, new week, new day. You just have to hit refresh and everything would be done for you by Power Query, and you can load the data in a Excel file or in a data model in Power Pivot. So let's have a quick look. So you can pull data from Excel, CSV file, XML file, text file, or a folder which contains any of these files. You can pull it from Access, SQL Server, and all the other databases. Azure, obviously, Microsoft products. So depending on how much you're using Azure, you can pull data from there, from online services, SharePoint, Exchange, Facebook, Wikipedia, Salesforce, Microsoft CRM, online, and through web, uh, SAP Business Objects there too, ODBC, or you can write a blank query. So let's start by pulling data from a file. Here we go. So I created some dummy data and saved in a folder called Power Query. So we are going to look at financial made up data that I have revenue that has revenue, GP, and expenses in it. So I hit OK, and now this is going to pull the data. Connecting right now. Cool. So this navigator tells us if there were more than one sheets, then from which sheet do I need to pull the data. When we click on the display options, it can show us only items that I've selected. And the great thing about this is if you work in SQL, it is obviously amazing. It is fast. You're using uh, the capability of a SQL server which pulls data very fast, but you're not able to preview any work that you do in Power Query. Behind this window, we are going to preview all the things that we are doing and how the new steps, the formulas that we apply to the data would transform our data. All right, so I have data in sheet 1, so a preview is being uploaded and it tells me all the columns that I have, and I think it gives like 10 rows. Okay, 8 rows. Yeah, 8 rows of preview for us to look at the data. Now, after we hit OK, we can select which columns we want, which columns we don't want, and we can do a lot of things. So as you can see, the source was Excel file located in this folder, and this is the name of the file. And navigation is like a table, like a name range, or just data sitting in your sheet. It automatically promoted the first row as a header. So before we clicked on the promoted header step, we see the first row in this sheet contains the data headings. Okay, and now it automatically applied the data type to the columns based on the first value in each column, right? So for revenue, it automatically applied a whole number. For a text field, like who posted it, the code of the person, it applied a text data type to it. Now you see all, as you saw, uh, it is loading data in the worksheet with all the steps that it automatically applied, and definitely once you apply like 100 more steps, it is going to process the data and load it in a sheet. If you think you don't want the data to be loaded in the sheet, you can load it in a data model in Power Pivot, because your sheet is limited by a million plus rows, but data model can hold so much more data. Alrighty, so I just Googled download Power Query, and it showed me a few links. The first one is it takes me to Microsoft website. Obviously it is a Microsoft product, so that is where I want to download the Power Query from. All we gotta do is hit this button and select the kind of file that we want to download. And it says Microsoft Power Query for Excel is an Excel add-in that enhances the BI experience. Awesome. Download. Now, do you know if your Excel is 32-bit or 64-bit? If you don't, then let's see how we can check it out. So we'll go to File, and then there is like Out. Yep, when you click help, it tells you what version it is. So mine is a 64-bit version. I've used 32-bit on their Office laptop or desktop because that is what usually people have been using, but I deal with a lot of data and I find 64-bit version to be better suited for my needs. Now, since I know it is a 64-bit version, I'll download the 64-bit Power Query uh, file. And if you have a 32-bit version, then you check the first one where it says 32-bit. So it's only 15, 16 MB. So small, but it could do so many amazing. There we go. It is downloading. And save this file. Okay, so we got the Power Query add-in downloaded on my computer. You can put it in any folder you want. I put that in downloads folder. Since our Excel is open, it won't let us install it. Uh, so all I did is the file was downloaded, I clicked open and it prevented me from installing. So if you exit out of Excel file, then it is going to let us install the add-in. We'll hit retry now after we've closed our Excel file. Good, good. Alrighty, let's click the download button. And I have already selected the 64-bit version as I should for bit Excel files. If your Excel file is still open and after you have downloaded this add-in, if you try to run it, then you're going to get an error. So all you got to do is just close your Excel file. uh, I don't think it can impact Word or Outlook or other OneNote kind of file that you may have open, but if you do, just close all your Microsoft Office products and hit retry and you're able to launch it. So this is a COM add-in. So you select COM add-ins and go. Over there, you check Power Query. For Excel, I've also installed Power Pivot, but we'll look at that later. We're talking about Power Query. There we go. We have Power Query available. Rock and roll. Double click the editor. It will launch. Isn't that cool? Alrighty, so stay tuned for the other videos in which I'm showing how you can load data from multiple Excel files into Power Query and get an output in just one table. So if you're working with financial data, you have monthly financials year to date, you may have 11 months of data now, and you can append all the data in just one table. So when you want to build a dashboard, provide analysis, you don't have to copy and paste the data every time. You can have all the columns. Like I got 61 columns that I'm working with, and it is million plus rows, and I load that in a data model. If it fits in your Excel file, great, but you don't need data. Your data sits in Power Query, and you can do it Power Pivot on it.